This video is brought to you by Incogni. Alright, we are 2 days out from a potential government shutdown, and we are only hours out from Donald Trump meeting with congressional leaders on both sides in a high-stakes discussion about how they're going to proceed. Now, Trump seems to be getting increasingly frantic on social media because, let me remind you, they spent the past 6 months, 8 months of Trump's term claiming that they had a mandate from the American people, that they were given all three chambers, the Senate, the House, and the presidency, because they had a quote-unquote mandate. Well, now, that mandate doesn't seem to be doing them any good because the government is about to shut down after they bragged about having control of the entire government. Joe Walsh points out to J.D. Vance, who said Democrats are about to shut down the government because they demand we fund health care for illegal aliens. That's a crazy lie, inflammatory lie. Joe Walsh says, hey, dipshit, nice try. You Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Why are you whining about Democrats? You control the entire federal government. Any shutdown is on you. And J.D. Vance doesn't even attempt to try to steelman or at least be charitable towards our position because he's J.D. Vance, because he's a MAGA Republican who needs to be dishonest. The Democratic position is we're not going to bail Republicans out unless they make some very common sense concessions. Like, how about this? ICE agents cannot be masked, they have to identify themselves, and they can't be funded more than our military. How about this? You can't be stripping rights away from federal workers by firing them and deporting people with no due process. Just some common sense concessions. And if Republicans can't make that, then we're going to let them faceplant because they have all of the chambers. Now, just to back up, Donald Trump will meet with the 4 top congressional leaders today, on Monday at the White House, ahead of the 12 a.m. Wednesday deadline to avert a shutdown that would disrupt government operations. So we're less than 2 days out at the time of recording this video. Democrats are demanding a few simple things: an extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies and the reversal of cuts that Republicans made to Medicaid and other health programs as a part of any temporary funding bill. This is the key message right here that people need to stay focused on. For example, Mark Cuban basically was leading the messaging on this for a bit. Just listen to how he puts it.
And if I was the Democrats right now, that's what I would be saying. Donald Trump is going to increase your health care tax.
On some level, Dems are saying that.
They're not saying it in a way that's easy for everybody to understand.
So that's what I was going to say. It's who's saying it and how. It's not landing for people.
Because they're not saying it the right way. They're just saying the premium subsidies are going away.
Right now, Jeffries and Schumer, people have tuned them out.
All they have to do is to say, let me tell you what the Donald Trump health care tax is. Donald Trump wants to increase your health care taxes by 12% for a family, make it 125%, by 75% in your premiums if you're making $30,000, give or take. That's the Donald Trump health care tax. That is a fact. It is a health care tax.
Mark Cuban is someone who always says that politics is just sales. You're selling yourself like a salesman. Donald Trump really embodies that. As much as we hate him, he knows how to sell himself and his policies. That's largely the reason that he won, and Democrats just need to simplify it. So here is Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona using this framework.
And this fight right now, this month, about this shutdown is over how much the American people are going to pay for their health care. That's all this is about. The president is saying no. We're trying to provide some help because their costs are going to skyrocket here this fall. If people get their health care on the Affordable Care Act exchange, those premiums are going up dramatically. Folks are going to get kicked off of Medicaid. You know, that's post 2026 probably, but you're going to start to see rural hospitals closing. We're fighting to keep those rural hospitals open.
It's such a simple argument. And what I would say if I were in a debate is why can't you just concede that Americans deserve health care, deserve an extension of the health care they already have? We're not adding anything. We're not spending more. We're not increasing anything. You can conserve. You can still be a conservative and be okay with conserving this 2012 bill. To continue right here, Sarah Jacobs, representative from California, says, quote unquote, go F yourself. That is what the White House said in response to Democrats who want to lower healthcare costs. Democrats are demanding Republicans negotiate a bipartisan stopgap spending measure. Among their asks is for the GOP to extend certain ACA subsidies. President Donald Trump on Thursday blamed Democrats for making, quote, unserious and ridiculous demands. Donald Trump is going scorched earth. Some people say he's trying to get leverage, but he's just being a ridiculous leader. Like, listen to this. President Trump on Thursday blamed Democrats for making quote-unquote unserious and ridiculous demands, foreshadowing what is likely to be the go-to talking point should neither side blink ahead of the deadline. What are those ridiculous demands? Extend Affordable Care Act subsidies. Just extend them. Quote, he read all that shit they're asking for, and he said, quote, on second thought, go F yourselves, the White House official said. That is what the White House officials think of the American people and their ability to have health care. Then Donald Trump upped the stakes more by threatening to fire federal workers en masse, because this is part of the reason why Democrats are worried. If a government shutdown does happen, yes, it gives us some sort of leverage over Trump, but it also hurts the American people a lot. It hurts tens of millions of Americans. In a roundabout way, hundreds of millions of Americans will be hurt. Everyone will be hurt. But at the same time, it stops the courts and it stops multiple mechanisms that prevent Trump from consolidating more power. So it's a trade-off. It is inherently a trade-off. Listen to this.
Sarah, the stakes are higher now, right? I mean, the Trump administration raised those stakes last week by making that unusual threat to carry out mass layoffs of federal workers if there's a shutdown. And keep in mind, the federal workforce is already shrinking rapidly, down by 97,000 jobs just since the end of January. And that's, of course, because of all of the cuts made by the Trump administration. And this doesn't even factor in some of the federal workers who took buyouts, but they're still getting paid at least for another few days. And so the problem here is that this would just add to an already rising unemployment rate. Now, it's easy to see how this could just be a negotiating tactic. Then again, few people thought that the president would put 145% tariffs on China until he did. I talked to Jared Bernstein, the former Biden administration economist, and he told me that this is not just bad economics. He said it's profoundly unfair. He said this is just running over innocent bystanders. It's not their fault you can't keep the lights on. Now, this looming government shutdown, it's obviously not taking place in a vacuum. It's taking place at a time when the economy, it already looks a bit more vulnerable than it has in.
Everything is vulnerable right now. And let me just point out, that's when Donald Trump started to post some insane stuff on Truth Social. So this article reads, and I made a whole video about this, but Donald Trump on Saturday shared, then deleted, an AI video created of himself and his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. I don't know if he knew it was AI, it doesn't seem like he did, but it was promoting a cure-all bed, a magical bed that could cure anything, with origins in conspiratorial corners of the internet like QAnon. The video, which has since been deleted, was intended to resemble a Fox News segment on the show hosted by the president's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. If you haven't seen my video about this, I urge you to go to my channel and watch yesterday's videos. There's also a few really good CNN debates that I do where I say the president's batshit crazy, so go watch all of those. And make sure you're subscribed to the Adam Mockler feed. We're pumping out really good content, and I couldn't do it without all of you. I appreciate all of you more than you know. But to continue, this segment never aired on the network Fox News. It was made up. Quote, every American will soon receive their own MedBed card, said the false rendering of Trump. This is like a bad episode of Black Mirror, or some sci-fi movie with Tom Cruise where he wakes up in some dystopian reality and it's like a Hunger Games figure with orange makeup, like, you will soon receive your MedBed card. It's just insane. Matthew Gertz says, if MedBed technology were real, it would be the greatest medical advancement in generations. I just don't get why Trump posted this. Then he posted, you're fired, him firing Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. Insane. Not supposed to do that. Then he posted this morning, self-proclaimed New York City communist Zohran Mamdani, who is running for mayor, will prove to be one of the best things to ever happen to our great Republican Party. He is going to have problems with Washington like no mayor in the history of our once great city. Remember, he needs the money from me, as president, in order to fulfill all of his fake communist promises. He won't be getting any of it, so what's the point of voting for him? This ideology has failed, always, for thousands of years. It will fail again, and that's guaranteed. President DJT. Zohran is yet to officially respond, but the government's about to shut down, and this is what Trump is posting hours before this. It's funny because Hakeem Jeffries isn't someone that's had Zohran's back, so man, our Democratic leaders need to get their shit together, need to fight, and need to do it in a savvy, smart way. Like, what does it show you that I want Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to succeed? Of course I do. But when they're going into this meeting with Trump, I actually don't know who's going to get the upper hand. Is it going to be the drooling idiot of our president, who should never have the upper hand in any situation? Or is it going to be our leaders who are relatively decent, but they would be better in like 2012? Now they need to be savvy, do something clever and unique. Is that fair to say? Let me know in the comment section. Hopefully I'm not being too harsh. I appreciate you all. And really quickly, have you guys ever gotten these suspicious spam calls with numbers that are designed to mimic your area, or these phishing emails that try to collect your data? They're very insidious, and I had a massive problem with them until it hit me. My personal information was being collected and sold by data brokers. Well, that's where Incogni stepped in. They've had my back in reaching out to these brokers and demanding that my information be deleted, which directly led to less spam calls, less suspicious emails, and now I can log on to the dashboard and see that they've collected and contacted hundreds of companies on my behalf, and I can watch as the company removals grow. As they say, take Adam Mockler's data off. In 2025, they added a custom removal tool to the unlimited family plan, so you can flag specific sites where information you don't want out there appears. If it's your name, or if it's even just your area or the location of your school, whatever it is, there's information out there that you want removed. So go to incogni.com/Mockler and use code Mockler to get 60% off your annual plan. It's a great deal, and you can find the link at the top of the description. Again, that's incogni.com/Mockler. 60% off. Use code Mockler. Thank you all, and thank you to Incogni.